I know you've talked about this a little bit, and you said it was actually a major moment for you. But in August 2015, Michael Koretzky, a regional director for the Society of Professional Journalists, hosted the SPJ Airplay conference. The idea of the conference was to have journalistic ethics experts meet with GamerGate supporters to discuss their concerns about gaming journalism and the way the media covered GamerGate. The second half of the conference was disrupted by bomb threats, forcing the convention center to be evacuated. Now, you said that you liked the morning panel, but not the evening panel. Do you
Yeah.
want to talk about what your highlights were from this conference?
I mean, basically, the first panel was all about the ethical violations, if a journalist should do this or that, if certain things that were happening in game journalism should be considered ethics or ethical or not. And the panel generally agreed, no, there's definitely a major problem with what is happening, which I think was the whole thing. The second one was more concerned about the culture war. There were definitely people like Milo that are there for the wrong reasons. They're just trying to, uh, you know, gain their fame, which they did because Milo became a major figure for the right wing, while I have never heard his name before Gamergate. So yeah, the second part was a mess. The first part I really liked at the same time, and I just realized that recently when I was reading your questions. I have never in my life heard about the SPJ before or after the airplay. I have never heard of any other investigation that they did. I never heard of them intervening in anything. So when we say that the media didn't cover it, it's true, but at the same time, when else did they cover anything done by the SPJ?
Well,
Can you?
it is a pretty serious organization. Like they
Oh
actually
no, it can be serious and everything. What I'm saying is, it's not really covered by anyone, anywhere, for any reason. Am I wrong? Have you
I have
followed the
no idea.
SPJ?
I don't like read the news all the time. I don't like
Right? But don't you have the same impression that if it wasn't for the airplay, if it wasn't for the airplay, I didn't even know that the SPJ existed.
I think I may have heard whenever they update their ethics policies and stuff, like it does make the news and stuff a little bit,
Does
but
it?
it's I think
Okay.
so.
I never heard of them.
Or people when they
Never before,
criticize the
never
media,
again after it.
when people criticize the media, sometimes they'll point to, well, the SPJ code of ethics says you're not supposed to do this, but you did that, as like a critique against the media in some cases.
Sure.
Certain news outlets or journalists who've done things that violate that code of conduct, they'll sometimes get called out for that.
Okay. But again, I never saw any coverage about anything that they do. So I'm not surprised that they didn't talk about it when they covered Gamergate.
Well, hey, I interviewed some of the people who were at SPJ Airplay.
Yep.
Game Diviner, Christina Hoff Summers. I'm interviewing Ash Scow tomorrow.
Hmm.
Probably. Interviewing Kathy Young, and I have
Hmm.
already interviewed Michael Koretzky. And Michael Koretzky is watching all of these interviews, or most of them, he said.
Oh,
So,
and do you have any?
do you have any feedback for Mr. Koretzky?
I mean, it's not much feedback, and also, like it's not that mine is not a criticism on what they do, as in what I'm saying is just that it's it's a little bit disheartening if they're doing all this job about, you know, um not regulating media, but examining media and seeing how they're doing in terms of journalistic ethics. And there is no following at all, and there is really no movement around it. And again, as someone that is following a lot of other things and a lot of media covering other things, I have never heard the name SPJ again. So I wonder if they're actually having an effect on the things that they cover or not. Despite the fact that, again, I think that the panel was excellent. Like they cover things properly the way they should be. Uh, they criticize a lot the second panel, and they were right about it. Um, but yeah, I don't see that name coming up though.
Well, it's they don't usually do like acts of journalism. It's more of like a professional organization, like the American
Yeah,
Medical Association, things like
but
that.
but but like do they have influence though? Like what the things that they say, is there any consequence to not following the code of ethics?
Aside from getting kicked out of the organization, maybe like I don't
But I
know.
mean, that
But I'm not
kicked
again. I'm
out of
not.
their
I'm
own
not some
organization
super
though.
expert on journalism who
No,
like knows every
absolutely,
single in and out
absolutely.
of the New
I
York
get it.
Times. You know,
Like,
so
like the
like, I'm
thing
not
is
sure it's
that
good for us to like even like speculate on this if we don't know what we're talking about, unless you think you do.
no, 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 no. I absolutely do not know what I'm talking about. Well, all I know is how little it came out.
Okay.
That's my concern.